Today, we're gonna be playing one of the best Pokemon clones you can play right now, Nexomon. You can find this game for as little as $10 on any modern platform. And if you're a humongous fan of the Generation 4 art style, you're gonna love this game. Now, I know this is a Pokemon channel. For the most part, we've covered only Pokemon fan games and ROM hacks, but I figured we can get into some more Pokemon likes that are really close to the original franchise. And honestly, Nexomon is probably one of the best ones for this exact video. Since there are two games in this series, Nexomon 1 and Nexomon Extinction, let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see another one on Nexomon Extinction. But then also let me know by leaving a like, obviously. And no, this isn't sponsored, but I figured I may as well put you all on a masterpiece of a game and a franchise too. So enough of the introduction, let's get into the video. The game starts off by explaining to us that the world was once a peaceful place and belonged to all the humans until randomly a humongous creature called Omicron comes down and basically declares war against humanity. Thankfully, there was somebody there that was able to control Nexomon and use them to battle against Omicron himself. After the battle and defeating Omicron, Nexomon and humans live together happily ever after. Or so we think, because then the game pulls this whole, oh hey, you're probably wondering how I got here moment, and shows us in the present day being defeated by Omicron, and he's surrounded by 5 balls, and he's saying things like, oh yeah, my ascension has been set since the beginning of time, I'm gonna win, Omicron, Lord of the Nexomon, it is I. Now you all know that's not how we start these games, and thankfully it was just a future event and not our current present day, which obviously we wake up from a humongous boom outside of our house. Now I should probably preface this by saying that Nexomon was originally a mobile game first, and I'm playing the mobile game version, but at the time that you're watching this video, you can play it on multiple platforms, home consoles and all that good stuff, and then also on Steam too. But this playthrough is directly the mobile game version of the game, and it used to have gacha elements back then, but thankfully that's not the case now. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we go downstairs to see our mom and dad, who are scientists for, I'm gonna assume, a very important person, which is the person that's inside of our room. And he obviously is gonna be shown whatever it is they're working on downstairs in the basement. And mom is telling us, don't worry about it. You know, we're just showing off our new toy to whoever the Nexolord is. And then tells us that our friend Ellie is looking for us outside. We go outside and Ellie is being harassed by some random guy who looks like a Team Rocket grunt and harassing her, who, mind you, she's in a wheelchair, mind you. So like, this guy is kind of messed up. But then you find out that she's also accompanied by like a robot named Atlas. And we attack him and he drops this little like weird box thing. We then do a game of tug of war with this guy, and then obviously when we pull out the chest from him, Atlas then proceeds to tackle this guy, and it does the whole like Team Rocket's blasting off again thing, and it starts to get really spooky. We go look inside the chest and we actually get access to not 3 but 7 Nexomon starters to choose from, and honestly they all look really great, but I think I go with Fethra because I just kind of like the whole serpent aesthetic. Plus I've seen some mons in this game beforehand and I just thought they looked way better than the other ones they presented to us as starters, so obviously I chose Fethra. After getting our starter, the grunt comes back, but this time instead of fighting us, he challenges us to a battle, and this is where we get introduced to what the game looks like in battle. Now obviously, right, because this is the mobile version, the UI and the whole battle thing might look different than it is on PC and consoles, but all in all, the game's pretty much still the exact same. But anyway, after defeating the grunt, you find out that Ellie actually built Atlas, and then out of nowhere, the Nexolord comes out of our house and tells us that the Nexomon that we just took from the grunt are actually his. But then as he's about to challenge us, I guess he stops and he's like, okay, cool, if you want to be a tamer, by all means, come and face me. Then he walks off into the distance, and that's pretty much it. Now, before we continue on with the story, I'm just gonna showcase a little quick clip from when I was doing some of the gacha system in this game, because at the point of this game, in the mobile version, you can put money into the game and be allowed to get access to Nexomon a little bit earlier than you're supposed to. Now, obviously, at the time of this recording, you know, I was able to do so, but I'm not sure if the gacha system is still inside the mobile version of the game still, because I'm pretty sure you can just buy the game, and all the items you can buy inside of the mobile version are like accessible in the console versions. But I just sat here and just caught a couple of ones, and then out of nowhere we get like 2 mega rare Nexomon, and dude, oh my goodness. As we keep heading east, we actually come across a merchant being attacked by a random Nexomon. So of course we have to save him from this wild Monkapow, and after doing so, he tells you to go check out his mart, and obviously we go do that because that's where the items can be bought, you know, obviously because he's the Merchant, right. After that, I decided to open up some more of the little Nexo boxes, and I'm not gonna hold you, this one was crazy. I got some more ultra rare Nexomon, and eventually I ended up getting a legendary Nexomon Luxa. And honestly, bro, when I got this thing this early, because you know you're not supposed to get these guys till after you beat the game, wow, at this point the entire game is easy mode for me. It's like getting a Rayquaza this early in the game. And also, I accidentally released my starter Nexomon, but it's perfectly fine because, you know, obviously, because of the Nexo boxes, I have enough to be able to, you know, replace him, you know? And now it's time to find Ivan, the first quote-unquote gym leader of the game. And of course, he's holding information about the Nexo Lord from us, and we have to beat him because obviously he's one of the Nexo Lord's cronies. Thankfully, because we have Luxa, not gonna hold you, it's kind of easy to kind of just run through this entire thing because I just sat there and just bulked up and then just kind of just like, you know, sat there and just scratched and did all the extra stuff. And he is a monster, bro. I literally do 50% about every Nexomon's health, so you know, easy money. And I just gotta say, Ivan has a really good Nexomon on his team. I love Trimion so much. I don't know what it is about him, but he's just so raw to me. It turns out though that after beating Ivan, he actually knows nothing about the Nexo Lord besides just being one of his pawns. But what he can tell us about is the hierarchy that the Nexo Lord has under him. And so you have the Nexo Lord, the champions, and the overseers, and under the overseers are the rest of the grunts that kind of just do whatever. And out of nowhere, one of the champions, the champion of fire, Fenrir, comes out and basically antagonizes Ivan and says he's fired, essentially. And I don't know what's wrong with Ivan, but he decides to attack Fenrir, and you know, Fenrir is not having it. He basically beats up Ivan like twice and then antagonizes us, but he lets us go for some reason. But obviously, Ivan comes up and tells us that, hey, you know, there are a lot more overseers that don't like the Nexo Lord nor the champions. We just work under them out of fear. And so, of course, I'm willing to help you if you're able to actually become something of worth to fight the Nexo Lord. And so we have Ivan on our team, essentially. He tells us about an overseer that lives in the mountains east of the city, and so of course it's time to go grab our gang and go over there. As we head east though, we see a lot of Nexomon that I would love to add to the team, but at this point I'm pretty much good on team for right now, you know? I'm good, I'm real good. As we look for the next overseer, his name is Ramus, by the way, we come across this burglar who just happens to be where Ramus is supposed to be. Now of course he's up to no good, and he tells us where Ramus should be at and exactly what time he's supposed to be away from this specific location that he just happens to be in, which is very interesting. We then come across a grunt who, after beating him, eventually calls Ramus, and Ramus is here. He's just chilling, of course. He then pretends to be our enemy and then literally kicks off and Team Rocket Blast the grunt and tells us to come back to the base so we can listen to the broadcast the Nexo Lord sent out, which obviously is about us. Now when we get to Ramus, turns out the intercom that the Nexo Lord gave to Ramus to, like, you know, obviously send out his, like, you know, alerts or whatever is missing. And luckily for us, we know exactly who to go look for because that person was there before we got with Ramus. While we go around looking for Willie the Thief, we end up meeting up with this looker-like character named Bryce, and it turns out Willie is hiding inside the cave we just came out of. Now after beating Willie, he just runs away and gives us the intercom because he can't read what it says anyway. And we don't chase after him this time. Bryce just goes on his own so we can go back to Ramus and just, you know, read what it has to say. We get to Ramus and it turns out he's actually being attacked by a champion. And no, this isn't Fenrir. This is the champion of the wind, Nadine. And she's fully aware of the plan to betray the Nexo Lord that Ramus is trying to concoct alongside us. She immediately orders Ramus to attack us and we have to fight him, unfortunately. And his Nexomon are no joke, dude. He has about 5 Nexomon on his team, and let me tell you something, bro. He has some really good looking ones too. My favorite one on this team is the Onslauceros, the rhino looking Nexomon. It just looks really, really cool to me for some reason. And Nadine is not having any of it. She knows that he let us win, unfortunately. And so because of that, she just straight up attacks everybody here on the mountaintop. Ramus then tells us to run away while he sits there and fights Nadine on his own. When we go back to see their fight, it turns out Bryce is there for some reason, and Ramus is probably still alive. Bryce then tells us that Ramus is the one and only tamer in history who could ever match the Nexo Lord in combat. So of course Nadine and her loss was, I guess, to be expected. But after that, he tells us to go seek Overseer Ira, who's living in a volcanic town somewhere east. And so of course we go there. As we're heading over that way though, we find Willie is being ambushed by the Warriors of Destiny, which is literally the Power Rangers, obviously. But the more they keep talking, you just start to learn that they're actually a lot more embarrassing than the Power Rangers are, you know? But they said that boy Willie flying, and I mean, they did it. Anyway, we continue east to go see Overseer Ira, and once we get to the volcanic city or the volcanic area, Atlas, of course, is trying to get out of here as soon as possible because his systems are overheating. Now, one thing I noticed in this entire time while we were traveling over there to go see Ira is that there have been a lot of tamers just sitting there on the routes, and like honestly, it says a lot about the difficulty in this game because you might want to sit there and grind out those trainers and just be, you know, be able to get up there in the levels because you're gonna need them for sure. Anyway, when we get to the volcanic town, it turns out that Overseer Ira is actually a rock star this time around. It's kind of cool, low key, but listen, unfortunately, one of the guards that is blocking the pathway to the concert though tells us that we can't go in, and so we have to find another way in. So like, you know, it's time to go find that. It turns out that Ron is also here for the concert and he has leftover tickets to give as well, but you know how this game is. They're not gonna give it to us for free, so we have to go find an employee of his with a missing item that he needs to get the tickets to go see Ira. And would you look at that, not too far east, it turns out that some of the Nexolord minions are about to ambush and attack this worker. And guess what he's holding, guys? Come on. Now, unfortunately, he's not smart either. And so after battling the grunts and then battling him, we're able to get the Nexo core that we need to go give to Ron. And it turns out that the Nexolord himself is the one that bought that from Ron. And so the guy that's holding it is withholding it from Ron because he doesn't want to give it to the Nexolord. And honestly, that was a really cool little twist. It was very interesting. But after some persuasion, obviously he gives us the Nexo core and tells us that we will be tracked down by literally every single person that wants the Nexo core to give to the Nexolord. And obviously, you know, we're not scared of nobody. So anyway, we go to Ron, tell him what happened, and Ron gives us the concert tickets. And now we better have both the concert tickets and the Nexo core. Like, come on, I'm really him. Anyway, while we're watching Ira do her concert, it pans out over to another scene where it's this professor looking guy talking to the Nexolord and his champions. And once they find out that we are the ones with the Nexo core, they're all like, yeah, we're gonna find this kid and get it back from him. It's time. We're not playing, we have no more. And I'm like, okay, well, sure. But then the professor guy, Mulk, basically tells Nexolord to not underestimate us and how he's done that in the past and it's ruined him greatly. Obviously, the Nexolord is like, you know, I'm not worried. We're not the same, you know? And I want y'all to keep that for later. Anyway, it pans back over to Ira, who's done with their concert, and she tells us, hey, I already know you guys were coming. I didn't expect it to be just a child, but you know what? It's perfectly fine. You know what to do, and we have to battle Ira, unfortunately. Now, her Nexomon choice is kind of cool because obviously she's gonna have fire-type Nexomon, right? But her mag pillar is really, really cool. Astior is kind of like whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's cool. And Browie, who isn't a fire-type Nexomon, but a ground-type one, is kind of cool looking, but obviously it's not fully evolved, so like, there's not really much you can go off that, you know? And no cap, she gets upset and attacks us again, but this time she has 4 Nexomon, an uncommon Frog, a mega rare Ferocera, a special Aka or Aka, and last but not least, I guess her ace Nexomon, the Abadog. Now, thankfully, after we beat her, she calms down. She tells us the Nexolord wants all the Overseers to basically kidnap 4 scientists, and unfortunately Ellie is a part of the 4 scientists as well, and so of course we have to find Ellie. We then end up going south into this forest biome and we end up finding a humongous mega rare Nexomon, and honestly my new favorite water type in this game, Floozer. Now oddly enough, in this forest biome there aren't that many tamers to battle, but we did end up finding this random explorer that's crying somewhere for some reason. She introduces herself as Dina, who is looking for the hidden village inside the forest biome because there's an overseer that used to live here. You find out that this overseer opposed the current Nexolord, and so he retired from his position and went into hiding. She also tells you that Ramus is the old Nexolord before the current one came and beat him and appointed him as an overseer. So when Nadine basically said that, hey, you're holding back on that kid, she was not lying. We end up finding and fighting a guard that is basically protecting the hidden village, and once we get inside, it's time we start to look for Overseer Khan, or former Overseer Khan. And it honestly wasn't that hard at all because basically he's inside the village, but Once we get to talking to him, unfortunately, one of the Nexolord's champions come. And remember, this is a hidden village, so they had no idea this place existed. But because we have the Nexo Core, they're able to track us down. And guess what? It's not a champion. It's like this outlaw cowboy looking guy. And his design is so cool, bro. The outlaw tells you that the Nexolord is paying him a hefty price to not only get the Nexo Core back, but to burn the village down. And honestly, you know we can't have that, so we have to battle him in a full Nexomon battle. I have 6 Mons. He has 4 for some reason, because in this game, all the Nexomon trainers don't really start having like full 5 or 6 teams until like maybe about like later in the game. I want to say around like the last like hour or 2 in the game, so it's relatively easy, but the damage output is kind of inconsistent, so it's hard somehow. But anyway, we take down his Navigator, his Tempestra, his Satre, and his Bar Crunch. After we beat him, unfortunately, he tells us that we might want to go into hiding because they know our location, and if he lost, they're still gonna come. Once we get back to Khan, he tells us that one of the researchers that the Nexolord is looking for is hiding behind a tree, but not anymore because we kind of ruined the whole hidden village thing. And so he tells us, hey, I'm gonna go get him, y'all stay here, and you know we don't listen at all, so we have to go up there and get him ourselves. After scaling the tree, unfortunately Nadine is sitting right there blocking us from getting the scientist, and it's us and Khan versus her. Once we antagonize her a little bit, she transforms into a Nexomon herself, and it turns out Ventra the Tempest is Nadine, and we have to battle her ourselves. Now, fun fact, while you sit here and watch this footage, back in the day when this game was like fresh, they used to complain a lot about Ventra, so much so that they had to nerf her and rework her battle maybe like 2 or 3 times, and they had to still do it again in Nexomon Extinction because of how hard she just is in general. Either a lot of people back then or now are just terrible at battling, or something, because I didn't have a problem with her, but you know what I'm saying, that's a whole different story. You know, a chosen one, me, come on y'all. Now at this point, she's actually the first Nexomon that you battle that has anything above or close to 1000 HP, and all your mons at this point in time should be at like, you know, 200, 250. It's kind of scary. You might want to stock them on some items while you're here, you know? And honestly, I should have probably lost here several times, but because I had Luxa, of course, the legendary Nexomon, it's one of those things where it's like I would be trash if I struggled for real, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Gacha Lords, you know. Now what sucks about this battle is I'm pretty sure this battle is scripted, so no matter if you win or lose, I'm pretty sure the outcome is the exact same. You basically lose in terms of story, but you win in the battle, and she sweeps us all away, and we're all just not even there anymore. Overseer Khan saved us, and that's pretty much it. Khan tells us that we need to talk to Olzar, the very first Nexolord, and the guy that saved the entire world from Omnicron. But in order to do that, we have to go meet somebody who's able to talk to the dead. Now, while we're heading over east and we battle all these new trainers, Fluzard actually evolves into Hydrax. Such a cool Nexomon, bro. But eventually we make it to Hilda's Citadel, the place of the walking dead. Literally. Now it turns out the only human in this area is an old gravekeeper whose name is Alfred, and he knows a lot more to this place than you think. Now he makes us do like this fetch quest where we go and find a certain Nexomon to destroy, and afterwards he's gonna help us battle Hilda, because Hilda ends up taking Dina, and we didn't even notice that till the end. I'm gonna just say this maze is probably one of the worst parts in the game, unfortunately. And you pretty much just have to just, I guess for me, I just randomly just walked around, but it's cool. There's like a certain pattern you're supposed to do and follow, but I think for me, I just like wanderously just did it till I got it right, you know? But eventually we end up making it to Hilda's mansion, and obviously we have to fight Hilda to get Dina back. But this time, you might have noticed she has 5 Nexomon to battle. She has a Mag Pillar, a Gameme, a Monexus, an Azite, and last but not least, a Wizeli. And let me tell you something, bro. This entire thing, after you beat Hilda, Khan comes out of nowhere, and it turns out this was all a setup. They tell us that what the Nexolord is planning is coming within a few days, and we need to go speak to Grandmaster Olzar in the spirit world to know more about what it is the Nexolord is planning to do with the people that he's stealing. Once we meet Olzar, he tells us the full context, the full story of what happened between him and Omnicron and where the Titans came from. Olzar then tells us that Omnicron is coming back to life, and the moment he regains all of his power, all the Nexomon on the planet will attack humans, and that the Nexolord's plan is ultimately to revive Omnicron, but he's been using machines to revive the champions themselves, and he's going to the desert to go revive Omnicron's oldest child, Grunda, who you find out is not only the oldest but the strongest as well. After we get done talking to Olzar, Hilda tells us that Ellie has not been kidnapped and we have to go across the sea to the desert, the exact area where Grunda is, in order to get her and to stop Grunda as well. Luckily for us, Gravekeeper Alfred takes us to Palmea, a beast city to the east, on his ship. And unfortunately for us, coincidentally enough, the Nexo Guard is here and they won't tell us why. But thankfully, we don't have to go anywhere far because Bryce is here and he tells us that an overseer is here recruiting members for the Nexo Lord. While we're talking, the bartender at the establishment tells us about a blue-haired lady that's down south playing volleyball. And it turns out this blue-haired chick is actually a famous volleyball player, Merida, but we all know her as one of the Nexo Lord's champions. It turns out that she's obviously lying to the masses and basically playing the innocent damsel in distress, but we all know how this goes. But she challenges us to a game of volleyball and not necessarily a Nexomon battle, which is interesting. And hilariously enough, we defeat her in volleyball to the point where we basically embarrass her in front of all of her people, and she gets mad, so much so that she breaks her cover, and it's hilarious looking at it. Out of nowhere, a random person named Zeta, who looks oddly familiar, comes out of nowhere to talk to Merida, and obviously he's working for the Nexo Lord as well. It turns out that because Merida had her temper tantrum, unfortunately the Nexo Guard is coming, and so they have to escape, and we obviously failed stopping them. Once the Nexo Guards get there, it basically is revealed that Hendrik is the overseer that they're looking for. And for those who don't know, Hendrik is the bartender of the place we were just in when Bryce told us about Merida. And obviously when we go confront him, the entire restaurant is empty, besides the staff members who are Nexo Lord grunts, and obviously we have to go and clear them all out. And when we get to Hendrix, he actually plays his character really well. I thought he was going to be one of those secret double agents, but no. He's actually a Nexo Lord overseer who thinks that Omnicron, you know, you should probably just say screw it and give up on your escapades and just join Omnicron and bow before him. And obviously, we're not gonna do that. Now, Hendrik is not playing at all. He actually has 5 team members on his team. He has a Sherman, a Skoy, his own Hydrax, a Jellian, and last but not least, a Dracuza. And I honestly love the design of Dracuza a lot. The problem is I already have a really good fire type, so like it doesn't even matter if I like it. I have Ferocera, so like who cares? But after beating Hendrix, the Nexo Guards come and arrest him, and he tells us that they're using Ellie and the other scientists to perfect the resurrection machine for Omnicron, which I think we all knew that, but like, come on. Anyway, after they put him away, Bryce tells us about Royal City. It's to the east of where we're at right now, and so obviously we have to go that way, and there are a lot of trainers on this route. When we get to the city, we see the same bounty hunter that attacked us back in the hidden village, but this time he's working for a lady named Miss Bella, and once he sees us, obviously he's shocked and embarrassed, he's mad, but then he actually says, yeah, they're my assistants, and you shouldn't worry about them at all. I do know them, but you know, obviously she doesn't know about our past, that we just kind of gave them their hands back in the forest, you know? After she leaves, he tells us that somebody hacked the security system, who we assume is Ellie, and somebody locked the son of Miss Bella inside the mansion and they can't get in. So now we're kind of obligated to help him out because he could be where we find Ellie, so let's do it. As you walk around the town, you find out that the person that we're trying to get out of the mansion is an overseer, and Miss Bella's son is that guy. Now apparently there's been a lot of burglaries inside the city, and if you remember, there is a certain burglar that we know about, but that's neither here nor there. We go talk to Ron because he may know more about this person and tell us more. We can find him maybe. His plan is to put money right in the open so it can lure the thief out of hiding, and to no one's surprise, Willie comes out of the sewer and he's just like, yeah, of course, easy pickings, secret hideout in the sewers. And obviously, if you put 2 and 2 together, you know what to do. When we get into the sewers, it's revealed that Ellie, along with Ramus, Ivan, Willie, and the Yellow Knight have joined forces and hid under the city. But before we can even say hi, unfortunately, Spencer finds us, and turns out Spencer is the overseer of Royal City, and because of him finding us, Zeta, or Luxa, comes out of nowhere and basically takes Ellie away. Now the funny thing is, he ends up leaving Spencer, and Spencer has no choice but to basically give up and his mom tells us that we can use her ferry in order to get to the desert to stop them from reviving Grunda. But before we can even use the ferry, remember those Power Ranger clones? Well, we walk up on them getting destroyed by Fenrir, the same guy that beat Ivan, and he challenges us to a battle. Now, it's very interesting how the champions are using Nexomon themselves as if they were Tamers, but they're Nexomon, you know, themselves. It's awkward, but as he's about to transform into his ultimate form, Olzar comes and stops him. Now, I know what you're thinking. Olzar should be dead, and why is he here in front of all of us to see if he's dead? Well, since our encounter, it turns out he's actually like our guardian angel in a sense. He's been following us this entire time. But anyway, he scares off Fenrir or Fauna, and we can finally use the ferry to get to the desert to stop them from reviving Grunda. Now, everybody in the Alliance is here: Ramus, Ivan, Willie, and Khan. Then suddenly, Merida comes out of nowhere, and she basically, you know, is obviously still mad about us. She wants to stop us, so she's gonna sink the ship. She transforms into her ultimate form, and Merida is revealed to be Aqua of the Oceans. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this is one of my favorite scenes in this video game, because me personally, if I was here in this moment, I would die. I have a humongous fear of water, and so if I would have seen this humongous, like, killer whale, dolphin, Cresselia looking thing coming out of the water right next to me, that big, I'm out of here, bro. Anyway, this is no easy battle because Aqua has 2,500 HP, and when I tell you she does so much damage to us, it's insane. And just like with Ventra, it doesn't matter if you win the battle, you still have to lose canonically in the story. And so unfortunately, Aqua is able to destroy the ship and sink the entire boat. Thankfully though, we were so close to the port near the desert that we were able to survive the crash and end up on the shores. Everybody's alive. But now that we're in the desert, not only do we get access to new Nexomon that we haven't seen before, but we're also one step closer to stopping the Nexolord from reviving Grunda and almost the end of the game. Keep going east though, and we end up coming on a town full of nothing but miners and merchants. And no doubt about it, this is where Grunda is located, and they're digging up in the name of the Nexolord. We meet a guy named Alvin, who I guess is like the lead operator here, but basically we help him find his toolbox. He lets us pass, we find where they're at, and we see the Nexolord and Fenrir go inside the cave to revive Grunda along with a whole bunch of miners. Obviously, we have to stop them. And I just gotta say, dude, this place is huge, bro. The amount of Tamer battles you gotta go through and wild encounters is insane. And to no one's surprise, Ivan and Ramus are alive and well. But before we can even get to Grunda, guess who is stopping us again? Fenrir, or Fauna at this point. He wants to battle us again, but surprisingly enough, he doesn't really care to stop us like he should. I don't know why. But anyway, we get to Grunda, who's still a fossil at this time, and this guy is humongous, but unfortunately it's too late, and it turns out that this machine that they're gonna use to revive Grunda is the same machine that our parents were building at the beginning of the game. And as they're about to revive Grunda, Jack, the overseer of this little town, basically betrays the Nexolord and says the entire place will be destroyed and explode right now. But the Nexolord ain't playing no games. That boy sat here and called his bluff and then attacked him right then and there. It's insane, bro. That's crazy. But unfortunately for us, the machine is not broken, and the Nexolord goes over there to activate it and revive Grunda. And right now is one of the hardest battles in this game. Grunda comes out of nowhere, and oh my god. Grunda has a whopping 3,000 HP. And when I tell you, dog, it is a nasty world. The amount of damage that he does to my team is insane. I had to spam so many items during this fight. It was crazy, bro. Especially because my legendary Nexomon was useless against his typing. And after what feels like hours, but obviously I'm dramatic, so a couple of minutes of battling Grunda, we're able to defeat him, and all is well. Unfortunately, that's not the case, because now it's time to go and assemble at the Nexolord's tower, but first we have to go through the frozen city all the way to the east by train. The very moment we get off the train, we see Ira, and some mysterious woman who I'm gonna assume is the very last overseer of the Nexo Lord. They have a conversation about how the other overseers are basically betraying the Nexo Lord and how they have to stop us as his last line of defense. But the very moment that lady leaves, Ira notices us and sends 2 minions after us. After beating the minions, she gives up and tells us more information about the Nexo Lord, the Nexo Lord's tower, and how to get there. Keep going north a bit and we end up finding Bryce and the rest of the Nexo guards kind of just sitting there devising a plot to go attack the Nexo Lord in his tower. And it turns out the overseer that we just saw that was talking to Ira, her name is Glacia, well, obviously. And to no one's surprise, she has the entire city on lockdown. The defense that this place has is insane, but luckily we were able to beat some of the guards, and as expected, they were waiting for us. All 4 Nexo Lord champions, Overseer Glacia, and an entire legion of grunts are waiting for us. Now, I'm no better man than anybody else. We decide to run away from them, and while we're trying to devise a new plan to get inside, a random woman that we saw a couple of minutes ago invites us to her private home to the west of the town. Surprised though, the blonde lady tells us about an old underground and abandoned laboratory that the Nexo Lord used to use to make a lot of the machines. And guess who's guarding the place? The bounty hunter. And he's tired of us because we've made him lose 2 jobs and now we're about to make him lose a 3rd one. You know what I'm saying? He challenges us to a battle and obviously it's still a lot easier than normal. But once we get inside, turns out this place is not abandoned and they're still actively using it. And let me tell you, the moment they find out that we're inside this place, it's an endless battle royale. But after fighting every single person in this base, we get approached by Malk, the doctor or the scientist who taught the Nexo Lord everything that he knows, to his very first Nexomon battle. And to be honest, this battle is nothing special. He doesn't really have anything new on his team like I thought he was going to at the time. And after you beat him, he doesn't say anything of substance. He kind of just says thank you for the fight and leaves. But thankfully for us, we found the other scientist and Ellie. After saving them, they tell us they're gonna make a bomb out of the Nexo core that they have. And so of course we have to go help them find the materials to go and make this bomb. You remember that blonde lady that's helping us right now at this time? Well, her name is Julia, and it turns out that she wanted to be the original overseer of this town, but the Nexo Lord chose Glacia over her. And she actually has a crush on the Nexo Lord, and so the reason why she's helping us is not because she's a good person, but because she is trying to take Nexo Lord penis. But you know what though? Who am I to judge? You know, the things we do for love, you know? The very moment that we're about to get the last material for the bomb, Ozar comes out of nowhere to remind us that the Nexomon that we have on our team are not our friends and that they will more than likely betray us the moment Omnicron is revived. Out of frustration that we don't want to believe his stupid Nexomon and humans can't be friends stuff, he challenges us to a battle because he thinks that he chose the wrong person to protect the world. And no cap, this is probably one of the hardest battles in this game, bro. He has a level 54 Torex, a level 57 Mistralian, a level 56 Carnagrius, his own Lucia, a Corozard, an Arctivore, and at this point you probably notice he's using our team. And to be honest, I'm not gonna hold you, I don't know if he's trying to like pull like some weird mental gymnastics stuff and try to like, oh yeah, I'm using your image of your team, they're gonna betray you at any moment, and he might just try to get in our heads. But to be honest though, it was a very poor attempt at trying to get into the psyche of a kid who's trying to save the world. Like, come on, bro. But you know what? Who am I? I'm definitely not the ghost of a guy that failed his mission. You know, I'm just saying, it wouldn't be me. Anyway, it's time to make this bomb. They plan on using Atlas as a carrier of the bomb to basically disengage the champions, leaving Glacia for us to battle. Which, I'm not gonna hold you, if you don't like Atlas in this game, something's wrong with you. Once we go reach the champions and Overseer Glacia, Atlas basically asks her, hey, what's your favorite color? And as he gets closer, he explodes the Nexo core and cripples the champions for the time being and leaves Glacia for us to battle. Now, Glacia has a full team of 6 Nexomon. She has a Seafon, a Jampa, who, mind you, this kangaroo design looks amazing, a Boltusk, a Idolette, her own Torex, and last but not least, a Chromatice. Now, after she's defeated, I guess it just did not matter that we just stopped the champions because they literally hop back up. But thankfully, they pull a Generation 5 black and white moment. All the overseers come to basically jump the champions, forcing them to retreat because they're still weak from the explosion that Atlas caused. And so now it's time to go and take on the Tower of Champions. And Ramus has a moment where he wants to battle us as the old Nexo Lord himself, and this time he's not holding back. It's an okay battle, but nothing notable. I mean, I guess the fact that he's using a Blizzlu, a mon that we haven't seen before at this point in time, I guess it's something new and notable, but that's pretty much it. And then like after losing, he doesn't really do anything. He kind of just says, go on, we can save the world now. It's like, okay, well, thank you for wasting my damn time, weirdo. Once we get to the tower, we're invited by Omnicron himself, or I guess his ghost, to challenge him at the top of the tower, and so we will. Now, of course, in simple Pokemon clone fashion, you have to fight all the champions one by one, and first is going to be Fenrir. And you might notice his transformation. It's the same mon that you see in the beginning of the game, the branding, the whole title screen. That's literally him. But he's kind of easy, because I mean, honestly, bro, the moment you fight Grunda and you have to take down 3,000 HP, 2400 is not that scary, especially when you have like a Torex. You can literally poison him and just spam the water type moves, and you kind of just won. Now, he doesn't really say much in his death, awkwardly enough. He kind of pokes fun at the fact that Nexomon aren't our friends, and like, you know, it is what it is. On to the next one though, we have to fight Aqua this time. And she doesn't necessarily say anything new besides clowning Fauna for dying, but like, you're gonna die too, sis. I don't know who you think you are. Now, because you've already battled her before, I mean, she's not hard at all. She has the same moves, same, I think, HP. Maybe she had like 25 at this point. I'm not sure, but 2400, easy mode, beat her. The next one is going to be Ventra, who has a weird type of respect for humans despite hating them. Now, I would hope that this battle is a lot easier compared to the first time that you battled her, and you're able to kind of just destroy her in one go, because that's pretty much what I did. Now, up until this point, we've been seeing a lot of the overseers basically interacting with the champions that they've been assigned to like be a part of, and we kind of play as like the cleanup crew for them, because they all kind of suck compared. So if you're like a sucker for character interactions, then by all means you're gonna love it, but for the most part, it's nothing crazy besides, oh yeah, the end is near, it's up to you to beat them, and then you move on to the next champion, you know? But last but not least is Lucia, or Luxa, the legendary Nexomon that we got from the gacha, but this time inside the game, and he is huge, bro. I'm pretty sure him and Grunda are the biggest of the Omnicron children, but as long as you have like a ground and a grass type Nexomon, you should be able to kind of just work him real easily, you know what I'm saying? He's not that crazy. Now, after that battle, all the champions have pretty much been destroyed and dealt with, and as we're about to go fight the Nexolord, Malk comes out of nowhere and tells us that he was a part of a group of people that knew about Omnicron coming, and they basically created a virtual world for humanity to escape to the moment he comes. And fun fact for anybody who probably remembers this video game, Micromon is a prequel to Nexomon. At the time, Micromon was one of the most viral and successful Pokemon clones on the iOS and Android devices. You've probably seen it somewhere before. I never did a playthrough on it. I only got introduced to the series by Nexomon, so Micromon was kind of new. But anyway, once we get to the Nexolord, it turns out that the champions are going to sacrifice themselves to revive Omnicron, and we learned that the Nexolord himself is the 6th child of Omnicron, and once they're done, Omnicron is finally revived. Now, Omnicron is probably one of the most unique battles that I've seen in a long time, because essentially he ends up using all of his children as, I want to say, phases. And so you have to fight all the children again, but this time instead of 2400 HP, they all have like 1600, and they're all like relatively weaker. And once you get done with all of his phases, let me tell you something, bro. Omnicron is not easy. He has a whopping 3000 HP. And for the most part, dude, I am getting 1 to 2 shotted by this thing. I tried to poison it. It lasted for about a turn and that's it. And honestly, bro, you might need a lot of items before you come into this part of the game, because dude, he just hits like a truck. I keep having to spam revives and potions back and forth, and it's just a hard fight, bro. But after a 20-minute boss battle, I was finally able to defeat Omnicron once and for all. And with his last dying breath, he warns us that even though we have defeated him, as long as Nexomon exists in our world, he will live on forever. We wake up in this weird forest area with Dina for some reason. She tells you about Omnicron's last child, the one that he basically disowned because she didn't want to fight against humans because she believed that humans and Nexomon can live together. Now you're probably wondering, why is she telling you this? Well, it turns out that Dina is Nara. She declares an oath that she will watch over her father and her siblings' grave, and that, my friends, is the end of Nexomon. Now the game does have like an after game slash DLC for like alluding to Nexomon Extinction or Nexomon 2, but I figured this video has been going on for a lot longer than necessary, so if you're interested in getting the game for yourself, like I said, it's like $10 somewhere on any of the shops. You can pick it up and play it for yourself. Oh yeah, and go pick up Nexomon Extinction if this game and the story is like really cool to you, because the budget for that game is just way higher and way better personally. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you all leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you guys are new for some more Pokemon fan game ROM hack, and I guess Pokemon clone content, you know? Oh yeah, and be sure to go sign up on SacredAlmighty.com and support the boy financially. $5 a month. It makes these videos come by a lot sooner. It helps pay the editors and all the bills or whatever. Thank you so much for anybody that watched and I guess watched the full thing. And thank you. I just thank you in general. Bye.